Most traders look at one chart and wonder why they keep getting stopped out. But if you can read price action across multiple time frames, then you'll be able to spot the setups that actually work. You will instantly be able to enter higher probability setups, capture the most amount of profit for the smallest amount of risk, and avoid fake outs and manipulation. After 5 years of trading, I perfected a 3-step system that turns market chaos into clear opportunities. In this video, I'll show you exactly how to identify high probability setups. Plus, I'm going to walk you through 2 live trades so you can have actionable steps to follow and become profitable. So let's look at the price action right here on the 5-minute, and you can see there's multiple strategies that you can use to enter this trade for a buy, right? The market is pushing up. We're above the 13 EMA. Everything is looking good. So you can see we have a demand setup right here, right? Or if you're ICT, there's a fair value gap right here that we're waiting to be tapped into, right? There's support and resistance right here. So if you want to break and retest, this is where you would be entering. So there's a lot of strategies telling you to enter this trade right here. But what happens if you would enter this trade? So this is support and resistance. I trade supply and demand. So let's put this box here too. So if we forward, what happens? They all lose. All those 3 strategies that are supposed to be the best in the world all just lost. Why did they lose, right? This is something that these mentors are not teaching their students. It's top-down analysis. On the higher time frames, we are saying we are looking for sales and people are entering buys because it looks good. The market likes to make it look perfect. They give you a juicy entry, and when you enter, you lose and you feel like this doesn't work, but it does work. Now let me show you why you lost those trades. So if we zoom out and we go to the H1 time frame, we can see this is where we took the trade. We zoom out, we can see that we are at a higher time frame resistance, right? This is a higher time frame resistance. We could even drag this out and we can see there's been resistance in the past, right? All these candles rejecting it. It probably could go on forever and ever, right? So we have a resistance right here. So now that we have this resistance drawn up, if we go back to the 5-minute, when we were looking to take entries, we would know we just hit an H1 support and resistance, meaning we just hit a very, very strong break wall that we're going to turn around and go this way, right? Our little 5-minute candles cannot break through this 1-hour resistance zone. So now knowing this, we would never took these trades. We would have been like, no way, this is just going to be a loss because we just hit a brick wall. Look what happened after we hit that brick wall. We get so much momentum to the downside. Why are we entering trades running straight into a brick wall? It's not going to happen. All this momentum is going to push us all the way down. So this tip alone could make you profitable. Stop taking trades running into a brick wall. And if your mentor is not teaching you this, then you need to find a new mentor. And I would love to be that person to get you profitable in 45 days or less. So if you click that first link, you can apply to join my mentorship. If you are accepted, your life is about to change in 45 days or less, guaranteed. Meaning, if you're not profitable in 45 days, then I'm going to work with you one-on-one until you get profitable. Now let's get back to the strategy, right? So now we know not to look for any buys. It doesn't matter what strategy you use. You run into that brick wall, you're going to lose, right? Okay, so now that we have our higher time frames on, now let's see what trades we could have caught knowing that this was here. So we would have avoided all these losses where everyone was losing, right? Because they didn't know about that higher time frame time down analysis. Now let's see what sells we can take off of this zone. So we have a supply zone right here. Now if you trade ICT, there's a gap right here, a fair value gap that we're waiting for it to get tapped in. So let's see if we get tapped into this trade for the ICT traders. We got a support and resistance also right here in this zone, right? So support and resistance right there. So let's just see what happens when we get up here, because this seems like the place we want to be at to trade. We got support and resistance, we got supply and demand, we got everything we're looking for. So let's forward this. Okay, boom. Look how, bro, we literally tapped this perfectly and mounted. Look at this reaction that we had, right? So we had support and resistance right here, right? You see the support and resistance, tapped it perfectly. We had a fair value gap, tapped it good. I didn't tap this watch, which is fine, right? It's not always going to give us an entry. Even if you're a breakout trader, we have a breakout to this zone, we flood, right? We flood, all because we know we have this higher time frame pushing us to RTP. This is looking great. All right, so now we know how effective these higher time frame support and resistance zones are. Let's dive deep on how to draw them the correct way to make sure we have the most accurate zones so we're not getting faked out or manipulated. So let's start off with the H1. So we're going to go to the H1 zone, turn this kill zones out so we can see. We're going to get to present day, right? This is present day. We're going to zoom out a little bit and we're going to see where is the support and resistance. If you don't know what support and resistance is, support and resistance is just a floor and a ceiling, right? So price keeps bouncing off this floor. We would draw a rectangle just to all the points of it, right? Just to see where is price turning around and bouncing off of. Same thing for resistance, we would draw it at the top, right? Resistance is the ceiling, support is the floor. We're just drawing the parts of we're turning around, rejecting, turning around, right? So that's support and resistance. And we have that right here, resistance, and we have support, right? So this is our ceiling, this is our floor. So we know if we bounce off this, we're taking sells to here. If we bounce off this, we're taking buys to here. And we're gonna ping pong until we break through. And now that we have those zones, we know which way to trade for the day. You could even zoom out and drag it across and make sure that it makes sense in the past, right? So this one you could draw a little bit lower to account for this one. This one you could drag it out, right? Maybe there's no price action. There still is right there, right? So you want to make it make sense with this. So maybe drag this a little bit lower, drag it a little bit higher. Whenever one has the lower taps, that's what you want to do. So now that we have these zones, see, since I put it higher now, these are not being accounted for. So we got to drag this back down. This is the most important part because this is present time. I would even draw like that, zoom out. Now we look at this. Okay, this seems like the right spot. So that would be our zones. And you've seen the trades that we take. So let's just draw a couple more zones. So we see right here, we have support. I'm going to draw right there, drag it out. See, this is a way stronger zone. These are a little ugly. This is way nicer, way stronger. It gives me more confidence. Let's go look at some more zones, right? We're bouncing off here, bouncing. If we drag it out, we're getting more taps. These are the zones we want, these nice clear zones. So we have all these zones, so we know which way to trade. So if we go to the 5 minute now we know where to look for our setups. And what happens in these setups? Let's say we're trading supply and demand. We get a push off this zone, draw right there. Look at that, perfect, comes back, taps it, shoot off, right? We know which way to trade. Let's say we're doing breakout trading. Let's say we have it right here. We break out right there. Look at, we flood up, right? Multiple setups. And it could be used over and over. We have a trend line right here. What happens when we break out? We fly up. We have a demand setup right here. We tap in, fly up. This is also support and resistance. On the 5 minute, we reject it, fly up. Breakout traders right here. We break this candle, fly up. Supply and demand, fly up. Right? So once you have these zones, every strategy just becomes a lot more accurate. Instead of looking for sells, we know to look for buys. Look at this. We finally broke through. What do we have? Breakout traders, enter right here, we fly up. We hit this zone, we start looking for sells. Look at this trend line. We enter on the break of the trend line for the breakouts. We fly down. Look at that. ICT traders, fair value gap. We tap in right there. We know to look for sells. It's going to drop. Eventually, we'll get our risk to reward because we're coming to the next support zone. This is how powerful these zones are. These zones are what make me profitable. If you see anybody using these zones, they got it for me because I've been doing this for about 4 years now. Look at this example. Every time we tap this zone, we're looking for sells. This is a brick wall. We're not getting through it. One-to-one strategy, perfect right here. We didn't even go over the one-to-one strategy. Look at that, perfectly all the way straight down to the next support zone. These zones will make you profitable. I don't care what strategy you're trading, right? We have a trend line, breaking that. I just want to show you as many examples as possible, right? ICT traders, tapping it, boom. Supply traders, tapping that, boom, we're flying. Support and resistance traders. So this is working for every strategy. I'm not just teaching you things that only work with my strategy, right? I want you to win. Even if you're not using my strategy, I still want to help you win. Put this with any strategy you use, and I promise your win rate is going to go through the roof. As long as you're disciplined, you will be profitable. Now I'm going to walk you through 2 trades that I took live for you to see how I use it on an everyday basis. So for this first trade, this is exactly what I was looking for. So after doing a top-down analysis, I drew these 2 zones, right? This is my support and resistance. This is my resistance on the H1 time frame. So after we got to bounce off this support right here, breaking this trend line, I waited for price to come back. You guys know how I like to enter break of the candle. Why? Because it saves a lot of fake outs and manipulation. So some people would have entered right here. Some people would have entered when this candle closed, right? Because we got that nice rejection. I like to enter on break of the candle. If you look at these previous candles, before we got to the box, we never broke the high of the previous candle, right? So that's why I like to enter, because that gives us another confluence that we're going to go up, because we haven't broke any highs. And now we broke the highs after we hit this demand zone. After we stopped out all these supply and demand traders, I try to enter aggressive. Right, so I like to enter on break of a candle. As soon as we got that break, I entered the trade. I put my stop loss at the bottom of the box, and we held it to the next resistance zone, which is almost a 1 of 4. So that was a fire trade, and I do this every single day. Now for the second trade, now this is how I took this trade. So we had a bounce off this higher time frame zone, breaking structure. right? Broke structure right here. Once this candle closed above this line, we had a break of structure and not to lift for trade. We have a gap right here. I draw from right here to the swing low. What do? Enter on break of the candle. So as soon as we came in, I waited for break of the candle, enter right there, stops right here under this candle. Held it for a 1 to almost a 1 to 3. Once this candle started rejecting, I closed it, right? Because I already knew we were in the higher time frame zone. Actually, this higher time frame zone was supposed to be up here, right? As soon as we started rejecting this higher time frame zone, I got out the trade. So this one, I got like a 2.5. I never take any less than a 2.5, right? So 2.5, 1 to 3 minimum, right? And then I'm trying to hold to the next resistance zone. So if this zone was up here, then I would have held it for more and try to get a 1 to 4, 1 to 5. But since it was down here, I knew I was only going to get a 1 to 2.5 or 1 to 3. So those are the two trades I took. We back tested it. I showed you in detail how to utilize these higher time frame zones to get high probability setups, stop getting faked out, stop being manipulated, and become a real professional, profitable trader. So I hope you guys liked this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.